goodness. He'll take on Atkins. Atkins did really well. Sinclair picks it up. Back to Papley. Left foot snaps. Is this the match winner? Oh, Papley's done it. The Swans are in front.
One last roll of the dice. Hawkins to space. Rowbottom. He's got the football. And the Swans hang on.
A surprise packet of a season with a heartbreaking elimination final loss. Didn't really summarize the one game, the season they had with the expectations coming in to be a bottom six team. Ended up being a top six team. It was a really different season to what we had predicted, Liam.
Yeah, I had them toward the lower end of my ladder predictions last year. Never would I thought that Sydney would be finishing anywhere near the top 8. But the young core just showed something else. They showed that they've got a lot of talent there coming through. I know all the older guys did this and they had a great season, which pretty much led the way to them for finals campaign. Many thought that might have been able to go towards the second or third week, but unfortunately the Giants got a hold of them. And that one game, as you said, just didn't describe the season they had. They had a great season, some ups and downs, but mostly positives. So we'll start on one. What was the best win you saw them have?
Mine came against the West Coast Eagles back in round 14 or so, I want to say off the top of my head. At GMHBA Stadium in neutral territory, and they just completely put the Eagles season to bed. 92-point winners, as I said, in neutral territory. And this was probably the game where we said, are the Swans contenders this year?
Yeah.
And for me, they were. Obviously, it wasn't to be in the end, but that was the game where everything just clicked. That was their best win for me.
I'm going to differ one. I'm going with Geelong way back in round 7. A Saturday night, Geelong got off to a good early start. They led by 4 goals at quarter time, and then the Swans pegged it back. And I think a game winner from Tom Papley, and then a controversial non-mark at the end to Jeremy Cameron, awarded the Swans the win. And I feel like that was just the best win in terms of game-wise. Very close, came down to the very last kick in the end. Jeremy Cameron should have been awarded a mark, but also wasn't paid, and that's where the Swans got the 2-point victory. Now, there was a few to choose from, but their worst loss that you saw them have.
Mine came across early on in the season. At the time going into the match, I believe they were 4-1. I might stand corrected, but I believe they were against the Gold Coast Suns up in Gold Coast. Doesn't really make a difference where you play them. You should be able to beat them. But they lost by 40 points on the road. Not a classy display at all.
No.
To say the least. It was the polar opposite of their match against West Coast. Nobody really showed up for the Swans that day. So that's why it's got to go in as my worst loss for the season.
I've gone with a different route to you again. Mine came in round 13 against Hawthorn. They lost by 38 points at home, and we all know Hawthorn aren't the greatest of teams nowadays. They had a bit of a struggling season. They just got blown out the water. Hawthorn came to play that night, and if you're Sydney, a team who was perched on the other end of the spectrum, who were competing for finals at that time, to go down by 6 goals to struggling Hawthorn, so it was pretty disappointing. And again, I think many people showed up on the night for Sydney, so that goes in to the books as my worst loss that they had.
Very good. Well, not good, but very good. Now, for the best and fairest top 3, I have no clue what the medal's called off the top of my head. But what is your Sydney Swans best and fairest? top three for 2021?
There was quite a few that were in the ranks, but for my number three, I had Isaac Heaney. The 25-year-old had the 15 touches, about the 3 inside 50s, round about the 2 goals a game, 5 marks, and he kicked 36 goals in total for the year. Ever since he came into the league, he's been very promising and had a mark of the year contender, I believe, but didn't get the top 3. And he's just a very exciting player to watch. In at number 2, I've got the player who kind of comes back every year, Lukey Parker. Again, 28 touches, 4 inside 50s, 13 contested possessions a game, nearly 5 tackles a game. He's been very elite his whole career, and he comes in at my number 2. And at number 1, I had Jakey Lloyd, the halfback, 28 touches, 6.5 rebound, 50s, 5 marks, and he was a super coach lock for me the whole year. I think I had him in round 1, and I had him all the way into round 23. He just did everything for the Swans. He did run off halfback, and yeah, he did the lot. So that was my top 3. Who did you go with?
In at 3, I had someone different with Callum Mills, the defender / midfielder. The +9 disposals compared to last year. I believe he finished on about 27 off the top of my head. 2 tackles, finishing on about 5, and +3.7 clearances, which is a good stat to improve on as he sort of transitioned into the midfield quite a bit more this year, or a little bit of a winging role at times. My 2 went to Lloyd, and my number 1 and my Bob Skilton medalist, as it pops into my head now, is going to be Parker, who was your number 2.
Very good. There was a couple, especially early on in the year. Who was the most surprising player you saw that came out this season?
My most surprising player for the Swans in 2021 went to a young bloke that not many people have heard of. At least I certainly hadn't until recently, in Chad Warner. His second season in the league, he improved with +9 touches, +2 tackles, and +2 clearances. He only played 13 of the 23 games, but a much improved season, as was practically the whole Swans list. So, he's one that stood out for me. Who was your most surprising player?
I'll probably go with a bit more of an obvious one, but I went with Errol Goulden. Round 1, Rising Star nominee, I believe. Many people had him coming in as their Rising Star winner. 15 touches, 3 tackles, 72 disposal efficiency, 4 inside 50. So he just had a very solid year. He was up there with the Rising Star, I believe, and he just came in and he probably did better than what people might have thought. So I had him as my most surprising player for this year.
Very good. What do they need to do, the Swans? They had a much improved season, as we've said 14 million times. But what do they need to do to get this list to, I guess the next step is probably just winning any sort of final. So what do they need to do to make that happen next year?
They've got the young core to do so, but I think it's kind of developing the next young core to replace the stars that they're going to lose, such as your Buddies, your Parkers, your Lloyds, your Kennedys. Developing some of those players to fill their shoes when they go in 2-3 years time. But I reckon they've got the list to make finals again next year. They can almost just repeat and also just keep developing the young core, get more game experience into them, and it's play the exciting brand of football that they played this year. Most leagues, they came in and a lot of the young stars had great games. And I feel like if they do it again next year, they're going to be competing again. So I can make a winner final next year. Also, it depends who they come up against and where they finish. But they just got a very solid list. So I reckon just repeat this year.
Yep.
So that's what to do.
Yeah. That's,
anything you'd add, or
no? That's pretty much summed up my words. just run it back, as you've said, and
Yeah.
try get those games in. And I'm sure that, in the next 5-6 years, they're gonna win at least one premiership in my eyes.
Yeah.
And could be another dynasty like we saw back in 2011 to 2016, 17 ish.
Yeah.
That was a very strong list. So Swans
Yeah.
fans have got a lot to be excited about. Now, your predictions for 2022, where are they going to finish? A little bit of a range on the ladder.
I've got them in where they finished this year. I've got anywhere from 5 to 8. I don't think they can push for the top 4 just yet. I don't see them being as good as your Dogs, your D's, your Ports, your Brisbanes, your Geelongs. But I reckon anywhere from 5 to 8. I reckon is the range that they'll fit in just beautifully for next year. What have you gone with?
I went a bit of irrational thinking. It's a big gap, but I said they can finish as high as third, in my opinion. Their best football this year was very, very strong. Obviously, they beat the Dogs, they beat the Cats, they thumped the Eagles, and just anywhere between 3 and if there was a couple teams to fall out of the 8, the Swans could be one to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying anywhere between 3 and 10.
Yeah.
Big gap, but look,
it's
really hard to put a place on it.
They could either rise or they could just flunk out and have a stinker every year. So, yeah. And now, finally, the final segment. If there were a test, this season was a test, what would you stick on the front cover as their grade?
I got a solid A.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the only logical answer. They lost a final. That's probably the thing that held me off from the A+. If they were to win the elimination, regardless of their result in the semi, I would have given them an A+, but they did lose that going in as favourites. Otherwise, it was a classy season. Their best football was very, very exciting to watch. Got to give them a fat A.
Yeah, very good. I've gone with the exact same. You stole the word out of my mouth, probably would have been A+ if they did win that final game, but their best footy was very scary to watch. When they were on their day, they were very hard to beat, and I feel like they'll be the same next year. So overall, a very impressive season. All Swans fans should be happy, although you did lose the elimination final. You did exceed a lot of expectations, and
Very good. So I think that wraps it up for the Sydney Swans review. Thank you all for watching and listening. Catch us tomorrow as we give our way too early 2022 ladder predictions, which is sort of, I guess you could call it mid-trade period, but sort of before the trade period really kicks in. So make sure you join us then. Stay tuned for all the news regarding the trades. There's been a few over the last couple of days. So see you around.
See ya.